We have a major Lakers trade update to go over today surrounding a center as a new report has dropped revealing some very interesting details surrounding Pelinka's pursuit of Walker Kessler. We're going to break down those reports and discuss what they mean following a brutal Lakers loss against a depleted Dallas Mavericks team. So stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Lakers content. But without further ado, there's a lot of things to go over today. Now, obviously, you think about what the Lakers need at the deadline. There's a lot of rumors and reports circulating their pursuit of a backup point guard, a backup shooting guard, obviously a backup big man. And we finally have some more clarity surrounding their pursuit of some of these guys. And a very interesting report has come out surrounding Walker Kessler. Now, I made a video a few days ago. We know that Walker Kessler initially was going to need to take a huge haul in order to be pried away from the Utah Jazz. And it seems like the Lakers may be willing to make that jump. So you can see here, there's a Laker interest in Walker Kessler. That is firmly established. They want to add another big guy. This is from Eric Pincus. Pincus has been cooking up every trade for the Lakers to land this guy. There has to be something to this. And this dropped yesterday, and it's very intriguing now because, again, report came out that the Jazz are willing to trade Colin Sexton. They're willing to trade Jordan Clarkson. But in order to trade Walker Kessler, because he obviously is a young center, he's under control and is an important part of their future, or whatever team he gets traded to his future, it would need to be an overwhelming offer. But now, that was kind of the report for a few days, and now things are starting to pick up regarding Walker Kessler and, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers. And we saw from yesterday's game, if we don't trade for a center, we're cooked. Hayes is really bad, whatever. Fans are upset at the fact that they don't have a backup center. That is good. I mean, we saw a brutal stretch of Jackson Hayes minutes yesterday against the Dallas Mavericks, but they do ultimately need a backup center. Now, Walker Kessler can be a starting center in this league, but for the Los Angeles Lakers, their team is obviously very solid. Their starting lineup is good, and they also need to fix their starting lineup and put Dorian Finney-Smith in it, which is a conversation we'll discuss a little bit, but also for another day. Regarding Walker Kessler, he's been linked to the Lakers for a while, and if they have to go out and maybe overpay a little bit, Walker Kessler would be the guy that they overpay for. And another report has dropped saying that they have no interest in trading Austin Reaves or Rui Hachimura, which, again, we kind of knew that. Rui Hachimura was a name that was brought up in some trade talks. Austin Reaves, not so much. But obviously, if you watch and see this year, if you paid attention to how the Lakers really operate, you know Rui wasn't going anywhere. Lack of defense wasn't changing that. Now, Rui Hachimura's defense has been a big talking point this season because the Lakers' defense in general hasn't been great, especially perimeter defense. But Walker Kessler is the best defensive, or one of the best defensive big men in the league, according to a lot of metrics and advanced metrics. So you'd be fixing a lot of those problems, especially regarding your bench unit, because you look at what the team has and all these different things. They have a very solid starting lineup, and I keep using this screenshot because it's very interesting. Obviously, this would be the ideal starting lineup, but this is not the starting lineup that JJ Redick has been using. He hasn't been deploying DFS into the starting lineup, even though he had a really good game yesterday. You can see Reaves, Christie, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeBron, and AD. This would be the starting lineup if they get a backup center, if they get a backup, wing, whatever, player they go out and pursue. Great playmaking, great three-point shooting, very solid defense. This is the starting lineup that you would expect them to run, depending on who they make a trade for. But if you go out and you acquire a guy like Walker Kessler, it adds a new level of depth. Now, Walker Kessler is a big guy, he's a big center. Could he play alongside AD? I mean, the answer is yes, simply because AD can stretch the floor. And if you're going up against some of the big teams that have bigger centers, bigger power forwards, even teams like the Nuggets with Jokic and all these different things, and you want to have a couple big bodies out there, Walker Kessler is such a good defender, and of course AD is an extremely good defender as well, to the point where you're setting yourself up for a very strong defensive unit there between Walker Kessler and Anthony Davis. And the big thing here is if they don't trade for a center, they're going to have to keep rocking Jackson Hayes. Now, it's not a be-all, end-all. They have to go out and they get Walker Kessler. There are other centers on the market, but when you're looking at what the Lakers need, Jonas Valanciunas is on the market. I mean, I don't think the Lakers are going to pursue him as much. He's not very good at defense at all. It wouldn't help with their biggest weakness right now. You think of Kelly Olynyk, guys like that who are a bit more washed. And when you're looking at players you can get, again, a lot of the guys, the big men, you can get for second-round picks. But when you're looking at the actual good big men that, the defensive-minded bigs, because every team wants defensive-minded players, whether that was Dorian Finney-Smith, whether that was, in this case, Walker Kessler, they are very valuable and coveted around the league because you can plug them into almost any team that's contending. And now, of course, with the play-in games, most teams are buyers at the deadline, or a vast majority are buyers at the deadline, or don't really know if they want to fully sell because they have a chance of making the play-in game. with Walker Kessler, if you're the Lakers, he would cost at least one, potentially upwards of 2 first-round picks. Because again, the report came out that they're only willing to trade Walker Kessler if it is an overwhelming offer. Overwhelming to me screams probably 2 first-round picks. Now, if you're the Lakers, do you give up your 2 first-round picks, your 2029, your 2031 for Walker Kessler? That's the big question mark going forward. And let me know down below if you would do that. He was a first-round pick. He's a very solid player, has gotten better each year, and is really strong defensively. And a report also came out from Eric Pincus. Again, they won't trade Hachimura, but if they want a big trade, which Kessler is arguably a big trade, either way, he's, a trade. It will be involving Jarred Vanderbilt. And you can see this here. I don't expect Vando to be moved either. My guess is that LA moves Gabe Vincent and Jalen Hood-Schifino and a veteran minimum contract at the deadline with picks. That will give them $16 to $17 million to play with, which should net them an elite rotation player / potential starter. And this is intriguing because the report from Eric Pincus is that if they want to get a bigger name, you'd have to give up Jarred Vanderbilt. In this case, if you're going for Walker Kessler, you'd have to give up some salary, of course, to match. And it's interesting because we know, and the speculation all along has been, and the assumption is that Gabe Vincent and Jalen Hood-Schifino are going to be gone. And neither of those guys have a lot of value, so it would be pick oriented. Of course, the veteran minimum contract. I don't think they want to give up. We know they don't want to give up Rui Hachimura. They don't want to give up Max Christie unless it's for a big splash. And of course, they're keeping Austin Reaves, LeBron, and AD. So regarding assets they have to play with, the actual players themselves don't have much value. Now, the picks could certainly have value in 2029, 2031. Other teams are aware of LeBron's future, at least the uncertainty surrounding his future. So that's where the big value comes in here. But there is a real world, and we know that Jarred Vanderbilt has been ramping up. He's expecting to play soon. Maybe they play him, see what his value is, see how he's playing, and hopefully he rises his value enough to be a part of one of those big trades. And if Walker Kessler ends up being that guy, they desperately need a backup center. They can't keep rocking with Jackson Hayes. Yes, Jackson Hayes, former lottery pick. He's an okay player. He doesn't fit phenomenal. He doesn't have any offensive bag at all. He was solid defensively for a while, but not in yesterday's game against the Dallas Mavericks. And you can see this here. We can't have a lineup without Reaves or LeBron ever. And that is also an interesting point and something that I wanted to bring up because they're also pursuing a guy like Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson, mainly Colin Sexton, who could help take some pressure off of Reaves and LeBron. Because when one of those guys are off the floor, the offense stagnates heavily. You see the ball get stuck up top with Max Christie. You see them try to force it into AD every single time. And yes, he's one of the better centers in the league, but you can't force it to him every single time. It becomes obviously very predictable. And would Walker Kessler help with that? I mean, no, it wouldn't help with this particular point. But if they go out and they get a guard or a backup, point of attack defender guy as well, which would naturally take some pressure off of some of these other guys, and maybe a tertiary ball handler to help in the starting line. Now, Max Christie is that, but he's not quite as established in this league. So, as opposed to a guy like Colin Sexton. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. A lot of updates, a lot of things to keep you up to date with. So we'll make sure to do that, and make sure to hit the subscribe button as well if you're enjoying the videos. See you guys later.